My boss told an entire room that nobody would notice when I was gone. 12 months later, he stood inside my repair shop begging for help with a car worth more than my house. But by then, he wasn't the only person who had underestimated me. Let me tell you how it actually happened. The mic was already on when Bill said it. 25 years with Meridian Automotive Group in Los Angeles. I was standing at the front of the room holding a plastic plaque with my name spelled wrong when my boss, Bill Hargrove, leaned into the microphone and smiled. Let's be honest, Frank, you're easily replaceable. Nobody will notice you're gone.
He said that into a microphone in front of everybody.
The room laughed. Not everyone, but enough. I shook his hand. I walked out. I made myself one promise on the way to my car. I'd let the work answer him. I thought home would be different. My son Marcus was there, the one whose car payment I was still covering, same as I'd covered his college tuition. My daughter Yvonne was finishing her master's at USC, funded by the account I'd been building for 15 years. Within a week, I became the problem. Sandra told me I was underfoot. Yvonne said I interrupted her study calls. Then one evening, Marcus looked across the dinner table and said it flat. Dad hasn't earned $1 in months. Nobody corrected him. Sandra looked at her plate. Then Sandra said quietly, maybe retirement came a little early. And Yvonne, without looking up from her phone, said, honestly, Mom's been carrying this family for years.
His own daughter, while he's paying for her college.
I sat in my own house at my own table eating food I paid for and said nothing. 2 days later, I found a hotel confirmation on the kitchen counter. A long weekend in San Diego. Sandra, Marcus, Yvonne. Nobody mentioned it to me. That was the moment I stopped waiting for this family to see me. I spent a weekend going through every account. Mortgage, utilities, tuition, Marcus's car, everything the household needed for the next 3 years. I set that money aside in a separate account, untouched. Every bill paid. No one would go without. What was left was mine. I'd spent 25 years in automotive corporate. What the corporate world never let me use was that I could actually fix the cars. European imports, vintage American muscle, high-performance exotics. Certifications most LA shops had never heard of. I signed a lease on a 6,000 square foot space off Alameda in downtown Los Angeles. 3 master technicians I'd known for years. Diagnostic equipment most dealerships couldn't afford. I named it Castellano Precision Automotive. My family thought I was wandering around Griffith Park. Month 1, 3 customers, not enough to cover payroll. Month 2, I was at the shop one evening, alone, running payroll numbers under a single work light when Marcus called. He didn't ask how I was. He asked if I was still going to that park every day and laughed before I could answer. I set the phone down and looked at the numbers again. I had maybe 6 weeks before I'd have to make a very hard decision. I almost shut it down that night.
This is the part nobody talks about, this right here.
I didn't. Month 3, a collector in Bel Air had a 1973 Ferrari dyno that 3 other shops had turned away. We fixed it in 4 days. He sent 2 more clients before the week was out. That was the crack of light. Month 5, I came home later than usual, still in work clothes. Sandra was in the kitchen and looked at me for a long moment before she said it. Maybe Bill was right. Maybe you just miss feeling important. She turned back to the stove before I could respond. I went upstairs, changed clothes, and came back down for dinner. I didn't say a word about it, but I thought about it the whole drive and the next morning. Month 6, waiting list. Month 9, 7 technicians, a parts coordinator, a dedicated client liaison. Month 12, Castellano Precision had more than doubled my initial investment and cleared profit. We were the most exclusive independent diagnostic shop in Southern California, the place you called when the dealership said they'd never seen that fault code before. I was still leaving at 6:45 every morning. My family still thought I was going through something. Meanwhile, I kept hearing things. Bill had gotten the VP title, a parking spot with his name on a placard. He was telling people at industry events that I had struggled with the transition, that some men just weren't built for stillness. Then he bought the car. A 2022 Pagani Huayra. The kind of purchase that tells you everything about a man. 2 months later, a corrupted firmware partition bricked the drive computer completely. Unknown failure on that production year. One Pagani hadn't publicly acknowledged. The car didn't move. Beverly Hills service agent 6-week parts delay. 2 independent exotic shops handed him back the keys. Desperate, he worked through a network of retired Meridian executives. One of them, a man named Gerald who had always respected my work, told him simply, "One shop in Southern California can fix that. Castellano Precision, downtown. Book in advance. They're not easy to get." Bill called the next morning. Nobody mentioned my name. He walked in like he was doing the room a favor. Sport coat, Italian shoes. He scanned the facility and settled into the expression of a man who's already decided he's in the wrong part of town. I was under the hood of a client's Aston Martin when he came through the bay. Grease on my hands. My name on the coveralls. But he didn't look at that. He looked at the grease, looked at my age, and made his calculation. Frank? I looked up. Surprise. Then pity. Then the smile. Guess retirement didn't stick. Hard to sit still when you're used to a paycheck, huh? Hourly here, or do they have you on salary? I wiped my hands. What can I help you with, Bill? He explained the car like I might not understand it. I let him finish. Diagnosed it in 11 minutes. The repair took 40. We had the proprietary flash tool, the updated firmware, the interface his Beverly Hills dealer was still waiting on. When I came back out, he was standing at the service counter looking comfortable. He pulled a folded 50 from his wallet. "Good work, Frank. That's for you." He glanced around, nodding slowly. "You know, whoever runs this place? They've got a decent setup. At least somebody here knows how to run a business."
He has no idea. He genuinely has no idea.
He tucked the 50 toward me. "Let me talk to the owner. I'll put in a word. Maybe get you a 50-cent raise. At this stage, that matters." He was still talking when Daniel crossed the floor with the tablet. "Frank, quarterly projections cleared. We're up 200% on projection. Bel Air client wants to sign the full fleet contract. Need your signature." Bill looked at Daniel. He looked at the tablet. He looked at me. I set the 50 on the counter between us. "No need to talk to the owner, Bill." I held his eyes. "I built this place. You're standing on my property."
And there it is. That's everything right there.
The color left his face completely. He stood there in his sport coat in the middle of my shop, in front of my team, with nothing left to say. He apologized. Careful. Recalibrated. Stripped of everything he'd walked in with. He called the retirement comment office humor. Said I'd built something remarkable. I told him I appreciated it. Then I handed him the invoice. 3 weeks later, his company's Southern California fleet, 12 vehicles, was on a 6-month service contract with Castellano Precision. Not because he liked me. Because we were the only shop that could handle what he needed, and now he had to live with that every month when the check went out. The Los Angeles Business Journal ran a piece on us shortly after. Sandra saw it first. Called without texting. Her voice was different. Quieter. More careful. Marcus came to the shop. Stood in the bay and looked around with an expression I'd never seen on him. Said he hadn't known. I told him I hadn't told him. Yvonne called that evening. She said she was proud of me. She was sincere. I told her I loved her and that her tuition was handled, same as always. There was a pause, and then she said, "Dad, I'm sorry about all of it." I said I knew. Then Sandra suggested, carefully, that maybe now was the time to sell. Travel. First class. Family time. "The household is fully funded," I said. "Everything you need is covered, but I'm not selling." "Frank, I'm not selling." She went quiet. "Then, why didn't you tell us?" I thought about the San Diego trip, the dinner table, the park joke. Maybe Bill was right. Because when I needed people to believe in me, I said, nobody did. I learned I don't need permission anymore. I still leave at 6:45 every morning. I still come home some nights with grease under my fingernails. Bill Hargrove's fleet check clears on the 1st of every month. And the plastic plaque with my name spelled wrong sits in the back of my desk drawer. Not as a wound, not as a trophy. Just a reminder of the exact moment I stopped waiting for someone else to decide what I was worth.
He didn't get revenge, he just got so good they could not ignore him. And the people who wrote him off, they had to come back, every single one of them. If someone in your life has ever made you feel like you don't matter, this one was for you. Drop a one in the comments. I want to know how many of us out here. I'll see you in the next. Take care. Bye bye.